I've never been in the military. 99.9% of everything I'm about to show you, I learned from people that have been in the military. As you'll see in this video, I rely heavily on military surplus gear. It's tried and tested. I hope this video helps you on your journey building out your cold and wet weather kit. Enjoy the video. Clothing. The clothing that you have on your body is your last line of defense. You always need to be appropriately dressed for your surroundings. Right now, we're talking about cold and wet environments. Your body is in constant survival mode at all times. It's trying to regulate your body's core temperature and keep you alive. The clothing you have on you is your shelter. Imagine that you're at base camp. You have your Alice pack with your sleep system, all your warm clothing, and all of a sudden the camp is overrun. And hopefully you can grab your weapon and you book it. And you've got nothing else except for the clothing on your back. There's two crucial things to understand about clothing. First, layers. Second, materials. The way you create warmth is by having air pockets between your layers. For example, here I have a merino wool sweater and a synthetic jacket. When these two come together, the air that's trapped between them creates heat. Layer number one, underwear. I use synthetic merino wool mix. Now these are great for odor especially. You can have these things on for weeks and you won't be reeking. Wool socks. I always carry 3 pairs of wool socks on me at all times. T-shirt. I use 100% nylon or merino wool, no cotton. Base layer. Now this is the first layer that's coming in contact with your skin. These are US military issue polypropylene long underwear. These are incredibly warm. Now the thing is, sometimes they're too warm. I use this as part of my sleep system. If I'm running around and I have this stuff on, even if it's cold, I'm probably going to start to sweat. That's a bad thing. Here's the top, here's the bottom. Ideally, I would want to have these with a zipper. That way I could easily get them on and off. The zipper version of these are very expensive, so I do what I can. I just run the standard polypropylene top and bottom. My next layer is going to be a merino wool sweater. This happens to be cashmere. I picked this up at Goodwill for $5. Ideally, I'd like to have a zipper on this so I can get in and out of it. Again, this is what I could find at Goodwill for $5. Does the job. Next, I'm going to have an outer warming layer. This is a jacket by a company called 32 Heat. It's basically just a microfiber fleece. Excellent quality. My outer warming layer is a jacket filled with synthetic. Now, the thing with these is that you can run down also. But in the environments I operate in, it's very moist, right? So the down fails. I've spent a lot of freezing nights in cold, wet down. So I choose synthetic always. Having a hood on my puffy is a requirement. There's just a massive difference between this puffy that doesn't have a hood and this one that does. With the one that does, I got no problems. Pants. Now I use anything that looks civilian, okay? No camo, because I want to be able to blend in easily to a urban environment if I need to. This pant is by Helicon Tex. I love these. It's a real stretchy nylon. It's got cargo pockets. It's tactical, but not too tactical. Wind layer. I run these frog togs. It's basically just a cotton that's infused with 100% rubber. Works great for cutting out the wind. This is another windproof jacket. Love it, except it's camo. So the problem is, again, if I'm trying to mix into an urban environment and I run in with this camo, that can be a problem. Final layer and my last line of defense, rain gear. Now I run these US military issue parkas. Great bang for your buck. You can pick these up for around $50. So I have the top and the bottom. I carry these snowboarding pants. Now these are great because they're water resistant. They have a slight fill in them. They'll keep you real warm. Also great because you can blend into any environment with these. They're not camo. For my belt, I just run a classic leather belt. If things get real bad, you can eat it. Up top, I start with a microfiber liner, 100% wool watch cap, a 100% wool balaclava, with a wind-blocking layer inside of it. I use these military issue 100% wool scarves. Love these. My favorite part is that they open up. So you can simply insert your hands. Got a little hand warmer. Any kind of scarf will do. This is a real thick 100% wool scarf that I got at Goodwill for $1. Doesn't matter who it's made by. This one's made by The Gap. Gloves. Keeping your phalanges warm is crucial. You'll see me always wearing these military surplus 100% wool cutoffs. I love these gloves by Cabela's. It's filled with Thinsulate and they've got the little MIDI, okay? So you simply open it and this goes up over your fingers Now you've got a little mitten. I've always got my gun gloves on me, and to keep real warm, I run these military issue mittens. Now these things are incredible, okay? It's got a beautiful leather palm, and on the inside, it's a real thick 100% wool mitten liner. Look for these at your local military surplus store. They're definitely worth their weight in gold. These military extreme cold weather mittens come with this cord attached to them. You simply drape it over your body, insert your hand. Now you can see here, these are the rifle editions. I highly recommend these. It gives you a lot more dexterity and the ability to use your rifle if you needed it. When you're not using them, take them off, let them hang. My woobie is a piece of clothing. What I do is I come back to all my woobies and I sew in about a 2-foot zipper. That enables me to wear this as a piece of clothing, popping my head out through the zipper. When you want to talk about a shelter survival system, you're looking at it right here. This is the U.S. military extreme cold parka. It's probably my favorite piece of gear because it's saved my ass many times, okay? It's lined with wool. It's got this beautiful fur-like liner on the top. Extreme cold weather parka, N3B, November 3, Bravo. Do whatever you can to get one. When it comes to your wet and cold weather clothing, here's the only 3 words you need to remember. Layers, synthetics, and wool. Just remember, the clothing on your body is your shelter. It's your last line of defense. Dress appropriately. Medical. I run real basic IFAKs. IFAK stands for Individual First Aid Kit. It's a concept you have to get used to if you're not into this stuff. Basically, all of your medical first aid stuff is here in a pouch, and that's on you, on your body at all times. And it's for you. If you get hurt, you can get into it and, fix yourself. But it's really designed for your teammates. So say you're on some sort of a operation and you're going and boom, you get hurt, you go down. Well, your teammate or your medic is going to come to you and they're going to look for your IFAK that has all the gear that needs to fix you inside of it. So it's really important that this IFAK live on the outside of your gear on your person, and you want to make sure that it's red or some sort of an improvised red cross, any kind of a cross, to let others know that this is my IFAK, I need help, grab it. You can buy these pre-made, but I highly encourage you to build them yourself. 1, because it's cheaper, and 2, because you really get to know the gear and you know what brand names you're getting. Brands like North American Rescue. When you buy the junk online, you're causing yourself more problems. So you've got to spend the money on good medical gear. I learned how to build this IFAK from a young guy on YouTube named PrepMedic. He's got great videos. Check him out. And he's got a buddy, his name's SkinnyMedic, okay? And he's got an online store. So you can go and source high quality medical stuff for good prices. Check those guys out. First up, I've got gauze. Now, my medic friends have told me that you can pay the extra money for the combat gauze, right? But that any gauze will do. Cat tourniquet. This is what I was talking about when you're talking about the quality, okay? This is North American Rescue. This piece here is called the windlass. This is what you use to crank to put pressure down onto the band. Now, when you buy the cheap ones and you get 10 of them for 99 cents, well, you're getting junk. These things will snap. You're causing yourself a lot more problems. And in a life or death situation, it's not what you need. Now, in addition to the cat tourniquet that I have in the IFAK, I always keep a cat tourniquet on the outside of my LBV 88, okay? This is a load-bearing vest. So I just have it strapped on here with some black rubber bands. And when I need it, literally I can just pull, this thing will come right off. So it's really important that your tourniquets be accessible, okay? That's in the IFAK because I'm thinking someone may need to help me. So they come to me, open it up, they've got everything they need. But if I need to get the tourniquet, it doesn't do me any good if it's in a back pocket, okay? Or in my pack. You want it somewhere where you can get to it quick, and you want it attached in a way that you can just rip it off and you got it. Pressure dressing. Now, a lot of times you're going to hear about the Israeli bandage. So that's pretty much what this is, just any kind of a pressure dressing. This is from North American Rescue, so I know it's a quality brand. NPA, nasopharyngeal airway, comes with the NPA and a little thing of lube. Get it up that nostril. Chest seals, these are hyphen vents. You need 1 for the entrance wound, 1 for the exit wound. Now again, this is where you're talking about the reputation of the company, hyphen. Okay, so this is pretty much the best you can get. They're spendy, but worth it. Emergency space blanket, Mylar blanket. Extremely important to keep that body core temperature. Somebody's going into shock, have this on you. Trauma shears. That way the person helping you can get through your gear, get to that wound. Small roll of 3M medical waterproof tape. Couple of extra large Band-Aid brand Band-Aids. Take care of any small scrapes. 1 pair of non-latex gloves. I keep my IFAK in a real heavy-duty plastic Ziploc bag. This is about 3 mil. What I do is I come back with Gorilla Tape, the 1-inch stuff, and I put 2 tabs here, okay, up at the top. And that enables me to access the contents real quickly. If I've got gloves or my hands are cold, I can just rip it open. I use Sawyer water filters, for example, with my gravity water system here. Well, they come with this plunger, right? That's how you clean them. Well, plungers are very valuable tools for irrigating wounds. So if you're already carrying your Sawyer water filter, you've got a good medical piece on you here with this plunger. When I load up my IFAK, I want to make sure that I have the gauze on top and the cat tourniquet as near to the top as possible. So we'll start here with the hyphens. They'll fit real nice down the back here. Our Band-Aids. Our Mylar emergency space blanket. Our pressure dressing. See that coming together. Our NPA will go down the side. Trauma shears can go down the back. Put our tape in there. And insert my cat tourniquet. Put my 2 gauze in. And I'll throw my non-latex gloves right on the top. And there you go. That's my IFAK. It's extremely important to have this stuff, but it's more important to know how to use it. And if you want to learn how to use it, you can take classes, you know, Red Cross, that kind of stuff. But there's a great company who makes half this stuff called North American Rescue. I'll leave a link in the description. But they've got step-by-step instructional videos on how to use the tourniquet, the NPA, the chest seals. Check those guys out. Learn how to use your kit. It'll save your life. Water. What's more important than water? Maybe ammo? Well, the problem is that ammo is not going to do you any good if you're dead. Right? So water is the key. On each side of my Alice pack, I have 2 1-liter military canteens. You can pick these up surplus. I highly recommend that you bleach the hell out of them because you never know what's been inside of them. When you get these, you may notice on some of them that they have this little weird spout on the top. Well, this is for your gas mask, okay? This is an NBC adapter. That's how you can plug in your gas mask and drink water if you're getting nuked. I run an LBV 88, which is a load-bearing vest. I have 2 pouches for water bottles. I carry a 32-ounce Nalgene. And on the other side, I carry a stainless steel bottle. That's that way I can boil water if I need to disinfect it. Now, the big thing with boiling water is, what does it require, right? It requires fire. And if you're being trained correctly in escape and evasion and non-permissive environments, the first thing you're going to learn is that there's no fire, okay? Because fire gives off smoke, light, smell. Okay, you got to learn to do all this without having fires. Therefore, without fire, you can't boil. But in case you needed to boil and disinfect that water, I carry a stainless steel bottle with me. Now, if you're training in a desert environment, you know that water is almost non-existent. So you're going to have to pack it all in. And that's a pain in the ass because water is the heaviest thing out of all your kit, maybe aside from ammo, right? But you got to have it. So here's a great military surplus canteen. This is a gravity-fed system that I put together, real simple. You just cut the line, install a Sawyer Mini, you gather up the water, hang this, and it does all the work for you. So when you need it, it's on demand. Open it up, fill up your container. I did a whole video on how to put together one of these systems. I'll leave a link up here. I always carry a backup Sawyer water filter. Remember to keep these in a plastic bag because even though you're not using it, there's still water inside, okay? So if you just put these in with your gear, stuff will get wet. This is the world famous Grail. I've had this for I think 5 years now. Love it. The issue with it is that it's a little wanky, okay? You've got to go up, fill it up, then you've got to get it on a flat surface, push it down so you can run the water through the filter. The whole process is just, time consuming basically. So if you need to just scoop and go, it's going to be a problem. And it holds very little water. This isn't even 32 ounces, and this is the big one. But overall, it's a cool system because it's, one and done. Scoop it up, push it down, filter, and you've got disinfected, clean drinking water. I always keep a bandana on me. Now that can be used to pre-filter the water. So as you're scooping it up, you would simply place the bandana over the mouth, scoop up that water. That'll help reduce a lot of the sediment that you're getting into your bottle. A little container of salt on me. I don't know where I learned this. I think it might have been Boy Scouts. But the way I was taught is you take a little pinch of salt, put it into whatever you're drinking. Now, if you can taste that salt, you put in too much. So it's a tiny little bit, but this will really help keep you hydrated. Now, sometimes your water is going to be real questionable. So are you going to trust the Sawyer filter all the way? You may want to go that extra mile and chemically disinfect it after you've run it through the Sawyer. So I run Aquatabs. In my medical, I've also got this 2% tincture of iodine. Don't want to test your luck. If you have doubts about that water, run it through the Sawyer and chemically disinfect it. If you've ever had to drink skanky pond water or you've chemically disinfected the water, you know that it can taste like shit. So there's all kinds of things you can add to it to cover that up. I use these emergencies. These liquid IVs are great. Here's a Pedialyte. Anything to cover up that taste and add a little bit of vitamin to it, electrolytes, good to go. These are the ways that I gather, disinfect, and store water out in the field. Just remember, when you're out there, if you don't have water, you got nothing. Cutting tools. Now, this is a complex subject because it really depends on what you're going out there to do. Okay, for example, am I going on a 3-night bushcraft excursion where I'm going to be harvesting firewood and making fires? Or am I going on a 3-night tactical training exercise, right, where I'm not going to have any fires, meaning I don't need an axe, I don't need a saw, etc. So I can show you what I take with me all the time, and I'll show you what I add on per the mission. First up, I've got my Mora Basic 511. You can pick these up online for, I believe, $12.99. Comes with this great plastic sheath. Now this actual knife right here I've had for, I believe, 11 years. Okay, it is not full tang. It's a rat tail, meaning that it doesn't go all the way through the butt of the knife in a solid piece of steel. But I've used this to baton, no problems. This is the Mora Garberg Carbon Edition. This is a full tang knife, so this entire blade of steel runs all the way through the back. You can see it here popping out. This is a beautiful knife. Okay, this is the big brother to the Mora Basic 511. I've also had this, I believe, for like 8 years. This knife comes from the factory with a 90-degree edge, so you can use it to spark your ferrocerium rods. Great knife. Pretty lightweight. I think it comes in at 6 ounces. Bulletproof. This is my Ontario Knives Rat 7. Bulletproof also. Look at that thing. Full tang. So this blade goes all the way through the handle. If you compare the two, the only big difference for me is the weight. Okay, the size too, but the weight. This weighs like 13 ounces, this weighs 6. So for the weight, I'm gonna go with the Mora. This is a little vintage pocket knife. It says made in Spain. And I picked this up for like 10 cents at a Goodwill. Little folder. This always lives in my pocket. Leatherman rebar. It's basically a Super Tool 300 mini. So you save yourself like 2 ounces. Here I've got a blade. Here I've got a blade. There's my saw. So this is with me at all times. This is my Bako Laplander saw. Again, this actual saw in my hands is got to be 12 years old. Bulletproof. Great saw, super lightweight. This is the original blade that it came with. It's never let me down. Love this saw, the Bako Laplander. This saw is by Silky. It's called the Big Boy, and you can see why, okay? This thing is a beast. Look at that. I don't even know if that fits in the frame. You want to process wood, get yourself a Big Boy. This thing will take down a small forest in a couple hours. Pretty amazing, but be very careful when using it. I now always use leather gloves when I'm processing wood
because one time I was using it, it popped, boom, hit me. Easily could have gotten multiple stitches. I just taped it up, but this thing will take your finger right off, so be very careful. These are dangerous. Look at the difference in the size of the blades. Here's my Bako Laplander, here's my Silky. If I'm going to take a saw, the big difference between these is the weight, okay? Here I believe we're looking at 15 ounces, and this is 6 ounces. So for the weight, I'd definitely be taking the Bako. This is an ultralight axe by Fiskars. Now it's got a plastic handle, and you know, if you're into bushcraft and stuff, that's the big thing. Plastic handles, no, never, because you can't replace it out in the woods if you break the handle, versus a traditional one where you can simply carve one out and rehead it. But I've played with this thing. It's pretty tough. Am I bringing an axe with me? No. I would definitely be bringing a saw anytime before an axe. Okay, much safer, much more efficient. In my IFAK, I have a nice pair of medical shears. So there's another cutting tool I can add to my arsenal. Medical shears. Sharpening stone, I've got my Fall Niven DC4. Now this thing is legendary in the bushcraft world. It's a great sharpening stone. To tell you the truth, I've used stones off the ground many, many times to sharpen my knives. Just spit on them, find a nice smooth one, and good to go. Keep everything lubed up. I've got my Hoppies number 9 that's just out of my gun cleaning kit. Now I use chapstick, Vaseline, bacon grease, whatever it is to lube stuff up. But I have this on me, so I can go to this if I need to get a quick lube on. So you can see that it really depends on what your operation is, right? What are you going out there to do? What do you know ahead of time? But what I'm always going to have on me, for sure, is this Mora Carbon Garberg that lives in its sheath here. Okay, this is actually the Rat 7 sheath from a long time ago, but I've modified it. In the front pocket, there's a ferrocerium rod, and that is always with me, right? So I've got a way to make fire. I'm always going to have my Leatherman rebar, just a bulletproof tool, and I'm going to have my trusted little Made in Spain pocket knife. They say that, you know, the best emergency survival knife you got on you is the one you got on you. Footwear. For me, it really comes down to 3 things. The first being the weight of the boot, the second being whether or not it is waterproof or breathable, and the third being the most important, the comfort level. First up, I've got a boot here by Solomon. It's got a leather exterior. Now this boot is waterproof. It has a Gore-Tex liner, which is basically like a big balloon. I call them foot condoms. Okay, so you can submerge this and you're gonna stay dry, but at the same time, while you're rucking around, your foot is sweating. And that sweat has nowhere to escape to. So you kind of end up in a little swamp inside of your boot. This pair of boots weighs in at about 3 pounds. Now for years, I wore the military surplus boots. They weighed double that. So weight for me on my boot is a big thing. I like super lightweight. Next up, I've got these Basques. Now it's obviously not really a boot, it's a shoe, but I love this thing. It's super lightweight. So the pair weighs in at about 2 pounds. And this is a very famous shoe because this shoe was worn by the soldiers that killed Osama bin Laden. It's called the Juxt by Basque. It is not Gore-Tex, okay? It's got leather on the outside, but it's breathable. So it's that whole debate between having a waterproof boot that lets you submerge it and stay dry versus a breathable that's gonna get you wet, but it can dry out a lot quicker because it's breathable. These are both very expensive, okay? I think these are about $200. These are about $180. I got both these at Goodwill, paid $5 a piece for them. Wool socks. If you know me, you know that I'm a huge advocate of wool socks. For example, it's dumping rain right now. Even if these get completely soaked, they're still going to retain about 80% of your body's heat. Gaiters. These are game changers. Okay, if you're operating in a wet environment like Oregon, gaiters make a huge difference. They keep your boots dry. Definitely pick up a pair of gaiters. These are U.S. military issue mucklucks. Now, if you're going to be operating in the snow, it's a whole different world. And these things are incredible. Now, if you buy these, know that they come with a bootie that goes inside. It's usually a wool, big giant wool sock. Without it, they don't do anything. Pick yourself up a pair of mucklucks if you're going to be in the snow. Foot health. Your feet are everything. Without your feet, you got nothing. So you've got to keep them healthy. I use foot powder, talcum powder
I'll use Band-Aids for blisters, moleskin, incredible stuff. Flip-flops. These are rubber flip-flops from Birkenstock. Love these things. They're ultra light. I think it weighs like 2 ounces. My favorite thing about the flip-flop is getting done with a long day, dredging around in your boots. Your feet are wet, they're hurting. Get back to base camp, get those boots off you, throw on these flip-flops with a nice pair of dry wool socks. Heaven. So for me, it's about the weight of the boot, whether or not it's waterproof, and its comfort level, right? What's more important than comfort? At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Without healthy feet, you're basically keep your feet dry, keep them healthy, keep trucking. Communications. Now I've lumped that with electronics because 90% of my communications are electric. And therein lies the problem. You can never rely on things that take batteries or cell signals. So I'm going to show you a lot of things in here that are old world that still work in modern day. The cell phone. And this is going to be your number one go-to. The problem is that if there's an EMP attack, for example, and the cell towers are down, well, this is useless. So it's really important to learn other techniques that don't rely on cell service and batteries. The whistle, great way to communicate, doesn't take batteries, doesn't matter if it gets wet, it's gonna work. Clickers, now this is a recreation of a World War II clicker. If you know the history behind them, these were deployed, given to the soldiers in World War II, and they had a way that they could talk to each other, right? So it'd be, and they'd answer back, something like that. But here you go again. No technology, right? No electronics. World famous Baofeng UV5R. Now the reason I use this is because it's cheap. You can pick these up for, I believe, $24.99 online. Okay, it comes with a battery, comes with a charger. It'll come with its own little antenna. Those are junk, so you need to replace that right away. I run these big boys, okay? They're collapsible. This one is actually too big for the Baofeng, meaning that when you open it up and it expands, it's got so much weight, okay, pulling on it, if you can see that, that the connection here to the Baofeng, you need to be real careful with, because if you just insert it and let it fly on its own, if this catches wind, this can snap, and then you've got big problems. I've got a handful of adapters that screw onto the Baofeng into the female male, and this allows you to connect up a J-pole antenna, which is basically just a super long string antenna that you can hang up in a tree, give you more chance to connect to a repeater. Now the big thing with these Baofengs, people say, well, don't you need a license to operate it, right? It's a little ham radio. Well, here's the deal. If there's an emergency, all rules are out the window. So if you need to transmit and it's an emergency, you transmit, right? You pick any channel, you know, Mayday, Mayday. Somebody comes back, this is my location. This is how many souls are here. This is my location. This is my location. Something like that. So in an emergency situation, you don't have to worry about, you know, pressing the button and the government's going to come and get you. You do whatever you have to do in an emergency situation. Binoculars. This is one of the most tried and true tools of all time. Doesn't take batteries. Why go out, you know, a quarter mile when you can put these up and see a quarter mile, know what's coming at you? So I highly recommend getting a pair of small binoculars. Handheld GPS units. Again, this is electronic. It takes batteries. It's relying on satellite communication. It's so lightweight that it's worth me carrying it. The chances of everything being knocked out are pretty slim. But this is just a little one by Garmin. You can pick these old ones up for $19.99, somewhere around there online. Compass. Knowing where you're at, knowing where you're going is everything. This is the Sunto MC2. This is a little kit, okay, because I've also got a mirror that I can use for signaling. I can use it for first aid. Paper maps. Now, a lot of people download all the maps onto the phone, and that's great, unless that phone dies, then you got nothing. So you always want to have paper maps of the area where you're going to be operating in. Keep them inside of a sealed plastic bag. Write in the rain notepads. Great way to leave a note behind for somebody that's looking for you. Tell them which way you headed. I also carry one of these monster Sharpies on me.
excellent for marking things. Even when it's wet, this thing is like a paintbrush. So important to have on you. I just use a little pencil here, right in the rain, and a fat Sharpie. Pace beads. Now this is a tool that I use to establish a pace count, okay? Basically, it's a way for me to know how far I've traveled. I use this along with my map and compass. I'm 6 foot tall, and I know that my average pace count to go 100 meters is about 70 steps. So I simply step off with my left foot. Every time my right foot hits the ground, I count. 1, 2, 3, right? Up until I hit 70. That's about 100 meters, and I drop one of these balls. After I've walked 900 meters, I know that I can move up top, drop another one, and now that's 1,000 meters that I've walked. I simply reset the balls on the bottom, and I begin again. I use my Write in the Rain notepad to jot down my progress. Night vision. Night vision gives you the upper hand. The thing nowadays is that who doesn't have night vision? Okay, this is just a little handheld by Carson. It's a monocular. Look through it, you've got full night vision. Pick these up, I think they're like $129. Carson. Rangefinder. Very important to know where you're trying to reach out and touch. How far away is it? Wristwatches. In my day-to-day life, I don't wear any watches. I don't wear any jewelry. Don't like it, never have. But when I'm training, I'm wearing a analog watch, a digital watch, that way I can time things, and I have a little wrist compass. Inside my map bag, you'll see that I have another digital watch here. Now that is a backup for myself, but it's really intended as a tool that I can give to a new team member, so that way we can sync our watches and be on the same page. Headlamps. This is a rechargeable headlamp. This is a great headlamp here by Princeton Tech because it goes straight to red, and it's got a little shield here that you can pull down, go to white light. So this is great for covert things. Now, you can still see red light. Everybody thinks, well, if you got red light, you're totally stealth. That's not true. It's just less visible, okay? So anything that you have with a red light, I like this because it goes straight to red versus this kind of a light here. I can cycle through and get to red, but that's very dangerous because I hit the wrong button and I just lit up everything. Road flare. Now I carry the road flare for many reasons. An emergency fire, if it's pouring rain, everything's wet, it's freezing. I've gotten fires going with this many times. Now the road flare can also be used for communication. You pop this thing, start waving it, people are gonna see you. Chem lights. Now per their color, they can mean different things to different people. You'd have to decide within your group what each color means. Again, we're looking at something here that's old school, right? This doesn't take batteries. This is gonna work. So it's a great tool to have on you. Chem lights. IR strobes. This is a great light called the Phoenix Junior. Simply plugs onto the top of a 9-volt battery. So it's a great little beacon. Let people know where you're at. Here's another emergency strobe. You can pick these up fairly cheaply. I believe you can pick them up for like $9.99 online. It takes a D battery. Great tool. If you need to be seen, you can pop this. Somebody's gonna find you. Rechargeable flashlight. Now again, obviously it's electronic, but if I can recharge it, I'm gonna use it. Saves me the weight of having to carry batteries. Rechargeable flashlight. Power bank, solar rechargeable. Now these are great for using the sun because I've got to power all these electronics somehow if they can still work. You can pick these up online. I think I paid like $39.99 for it. It's got these 3 panels. What I do is just strap it to the back of my Alice pack. So as I'm moving, I'm taking advantage of any kind of solar recharging that I can get. Power cables. Now all these devices take all kinds of different connections. So this is a pre-made one. You can make them yourself. Just grab one of each, USB-C, micro, put them all together, wrap them in black electrical tape, and you've got a little dongle. Signal mirror, tried and true. No batteries, no technology. All you got to do is protect it, make sure you don't shatter it. Very easy to use. It even tells you right on the back how to use it. Micro drone. This thing is maybe 4 inches, weighs nothing, and you've seen in conflicts that are happening all over the world right now where the drone has become a very powerful tool. So I carry this on me. You can simply launch it with a Bluetooth connection, go up. It's kind of like binoculars. Get it out there, see what's out there. Takes a little bit of training, learn how to fly it. It's got a camera that can kick back information to you. It's all intel. Batteries. All these little devices get real hungry real quick, especially if it's extra cold or extra hot. So you're gonna have to bring a ton of extra batteries to keep these things going. Mini VS17 panel.
Now this is my main product that I make with my company. These are great, super lightweight. I've got them down to 1 ounce. This can help you get rescued, get seen. Mini V17 panel. Marking tape. This is a great way that you can leave behind a little trail. If you need somebody to be able to find you, mark your way. Super lightweight, it's waterproof. Bring it with you. On my helmet, I've got comms. Now these are just aftermarket reproduction, I believe Pelotor copies. So this enables me to talk to my buddies. On the top of my helmet, I have another IR light here. Extremely important, so that way my team members know where I'm at. I carry a real nice American flag. So if you're playing war games and you take over the base, put this up, let people know that your team won. Communications are everything. Now, the problem is that 90% of all this stuff I just showed you is all powered by batteries. And it all needs to connect to something, right? A satellite, a cell tower. So just think about old world stuff, like a signal panel, like chem lights, like a clicker, okay? Because here's what I can guarantee you. All this electronic stuff that takes batteries will fail. This stuff won't. Rain gear. Now I live in Oregon, so staying dry is an art form. It's a full-time job. You learn how to navigate, right? You're basically hiding a lot of the time, trying to stay out of the rain. But eventually, you're gonna have to move. And if it's pouring rain, oh well. Starting off with the top, I run a US military Gore-Tex parka. You definitely need to test them in the rain. So what I'll do is I'll put a chair out, put a dry towel on it, put the jacket over it, zip it up, pull the hood down, wait for the rain to come, and then afterwards inspect it, remove the jacket, check that towel, see if there's leaks. If there are, what I recommend, what I do is I use this Flex Seal, and I'll come back to all the seams and I'll just pour this stuff on there. For my bottoms, in heavy rain, I'll use the same US military issue Gore-Tex pants. They have about a 3-foot long zipper up the side. That enables me to get them over my clothing that I'm wearing. Unless I'm on a training exercise where everybody's got to be in M81 tops and bottoms, you know, normally I'm running around and I'm wearing just a civilian bottom, okay? Because I want to be able to blend in quickly if I have to move into an urban environment. So I'll use a pant like this. Okay, this is just a snowboard pant. Check Goodwill's. I've found tons of high quality ones there. So to keep with that mindset of being able to blend in easily in an urban environment, I run pants like this. This is a Helicon Tex. It's a water resistant nylon. Great pants. In wet environments, I'm always going to be running gaiters. You strap this over your boot. It goes up about 2 feet up your leg, and this helps keep all that moisture out of your boots and off the bottom. Excellent tool. Grab yourself a pair of gaiters. This is my wind lair. This is just a shell by Frog Tog. It's ultra light. The material is basically cotton infused with rubber. It's also a neutral color, so that way I can drop this M81 if I'm heading into an urban environment, throw this on, and I look just like everybody else. Your rain poncho is probably one of the most important pieces of kit. Now I bring the rain poncho with me, summer, fall, winter, it's always on me. What I do is I come back and attach these pieces of paracord. These are about a body length, so probably about 6 feet. I have one of these pieces of paracord on every corner. That enables me to get it up real quick if I need to use it as shelter. Obviously, it's used to go over your body and cover yourself, keep you out of the rain. You've got your pack on, well, this goes up over your pack also. Now I carry 2 ponchos on me. This is a US military poncho. Been using these for years. Love them. My second poncho is a much heavier, I think it's almost 2 ounces heavier than the US military, but you could literally drop down in a puddle with this thing. I believe this is Polish. I got it on surplus. Great poncho. So I have 2, okay? So basically I have one for myself, my body, one for my shelter, and I have another that I would use to cover my gear, okay? So my Alice pack, boom, I can set that up, keep it dry. You got to remember that no matter what you do, you're always going to get wet. It's just about getting less wet, basically. Scotchgard is a great product. You can spray this on everything. It'll help bead up that water, help it run off. Good product. If you know me, you know that I hate stuff sacks. But when it comes to my rain gear, the top and the bottom, I do use the stuff sack, because if this is soaking wet and I introduce this into my bag where there's a lot of dry gear, I'm going to corrupt all that. So I'll take it, put it in this stuff sack. I'll either put this inside my bag or I'll leave this hanging out on the back. Now you can leave this hanging out on the back also, but what I've found with moving around in the forest and winds and such, this can easily expose itself to the elements, and now your rain gear that's supposed to keep you dry is wet, defeating its purpose. Then you got big problems. Doing everything you can to keep yourself and your gear dry is crucial. Okay, if you get wet, well, you add the rain, the cold, and the wind, you're heading into a bad situation, right? Hypothermia. The body is in constant survival mode, always, 24/7. All it's trying to do is keep its body core temperature high enough to keep you alive. The human body is made up of 60% water, okay? But it doesn't mean that we're fish. There's nothing really to learn. All of us know that if it's raining, we hide. We don't want to get wet. It's just human nature. So using your tools effectively can help you to stay less wet. Boo-boo kit. It's basically just little first aid items I carry around in this small red pouch. Wet wipes. Now they come in these big packages. Unless I've been having some spicy chili, I probably don't need that many, so I keep them here in a little plastic bag. Now this is a trick I learned a long time ago. I take menthol, Neosporin, and Vaseline. I grab my cotton balls and I soak them up with each product. So I'm getting 2 for 1 here, right? I've got Neosporin if I need to apply it to a wound, and I can start a fire with this stuff because Neosporin, Vaseline, and menthol, it all has petroleum in it. It'll all spark up. Band-aids, tweezers, keep those brows looking good. Nail clippers, nobody likes a hangnail. Super glue, this is how I mend up little cuts on my fingers. 2% tincture of iodine, now this is great for wounds. It can also be used to disinfect water. Liquid IV, these are little cotton towels that are in puck shape. All you do is simply add water and they expand. Great little piece of kit. Aquatabs, medicines. In this little film canister, I keep aspirin, ibuprofen, Benadryl, Imodium ID in case you get the runs, and some NyQuil. Miniature little pair of scissors, toothbrush, and toothpaste. Now this all depends on what I'm doing. If I'm out on a 72-hour training mission, I'm probably not brushing my teeth. You've also got to think about the scent, okay? The spearmint on this toothpaste gives off a real distinct smell, so watch your scent. Mouthwash, again, be careful with your scent. Maximum strength Anbesol or Aura Gel. I always recommend this to people. If you're out there and you get a toothache, this stuff is a godsend. Dental floss. Now you can pick up a little stick off the ground and start digging away in there, but you can cause a lot of damage. Get an infection, backup Bic lighter. Hand sanitizer. Obviously to keep my hands as clean as possible. I can also use this as an accelerant. Simply add it to a cotton ball, it'll take a spark. The sleep system. When it comes to sleep systems, there's a saying, okay? You want something to sleep under, something to sleep in, and something to sleep on. Believe it or not, everything you see here on this table is part of my sleep system. Now, there's nothing more important than a good night's sleep. You may be thinking that it's all about your sleeping bag and its rating. It's really not. There's a lot more that goes into it. I'm going to break down this system, show you how I use it and why. Something to sleep under. I run a U.S. military poncho. On each corner, I've attached a 6-foot long lanyard of paracord. That enables me to get it set up real quick. Something to sleep in. Now, you'd think that we'd start with the sleeping bags, but we're not, because it all begins with your clothing, what you've got on you. Here I've got a polypropylene top and a polypropylene bottom. These are extremely warm. Wool socks. I hate having cold feet, so wool socks are everything to me. I carry 3 pairs of wool socks on me at all times. This is 100% wool, military issue balaclava. It's also got a wind liner sewn into it. This will keep you nice and toasty. Wool mittens. These are military issue. You can pick these up for about $5 at any military surplus store. Sleeping bags. I run the MSS, Military Sleep System. Now you're gonna hear a lot about it because it's heavy, okay? It comes with the patrol bag, the intermediate bag, and the Gore-Tex bivvy. You put it all together, it's coming in around 9 pounds. That's a lot of weight. Starts off here with the patrol bag. Now this bag is rated to about 40 degrees. Next up, we've got the intermediate bag. This bag is rated to, I believe, -10. Now when you put it all together, okay, you put the intermediate inside of the patrol, and then you put that inside of the bivvy, it's supposed to go down, rated, to -30. But to me, those ratings are very questionable, okay? Do I think that if I got in butt naked inside of the patrol, intermediate, and the bivvy, and it was -30 degrees, and I'm naked, that I'm going to be warm? I doubt it. That's where all the layers that we just talked about come into play. You can pick up these military sleep systems for around $200, but be careful, some of them are $500 and they're fake. So you want to make sure that it's genuine, okay? 10-year industries, that's what you're looking for. Also learn how to read the contract number. If you go online, you can look up how to read military contract numbers, find out when it was made. When you're looking to purchase one of these, it can be a little confusing, okay? Because you'll see it listed as 4 parts. Well, what they're talking about is the intermediate bag, the patrol bag, the Gore-Tex bivvy, and the stuff sack that comes with it. You know me, you know that I hate stuff sacks, but this one's extremely well made. It's very robust. You could easily pack everything up here, clip it onto the outside of your Alice pack, you'd be good to go. The Gore-Tex bivvy that comes with the military sleep system is legendary. This thing is awesome. You can drop this in a puddle, you'll be dry. I carry a Woobie on me, so I can definitely plus up my insulation. All my Woobies, I come back and I sew a zipper in here to the middle of the Woobie. That enables me to wear it as a garment. I can put it over myself and put it underneath my rain poncho. Something to sleep on. You may think that it's just a thermarest, okay? Well, what if that ground's all wet? You got to put something down, some sort of a barrier between you and that wet ground. This is a real heavy-duty space blanket. I think they're called grabbers. Had this for years. You can see I've got a million spark holes in it that I've just repaired with Gorilla Tape. They obviously double as medical, right? Because it's a space blanket, so you can turn this thermal on yourself. I carry contractor's bags. This is a 3 mil. That's about the minimum that you want. Lay this down, you got a good vapor barrier between you and the cold ground. I carry 2 military ponchos. If I needed to, I could use one of them as ground cover. I run Thermarest. I believe this is the Ridgeline. I've been using these for years and years and years. They're ultralight and they're bulletproof because you can't pop them, right? You use air mattresses, good luck. You'll notice on this one, you can see that I've cut it. If you can see that angle, well, I've cut that angle in because that works with the military sleep system down at the bottom. If you leave it just square, you'll have issues with it bunching up. When it's 3 in the morning and -10 degrees, you're wrapped up warm in your military sleep system, well, you gotta pee. It's no fun getting out of that bag. So what I recommend is grabbing a Nalgene, a wide mouth. You can use this as your little porta potty. I always keep a headlamp on me while I'm in my bag. That way if I need to get up, I've got light. I run water systems using Sawyer water filters. Now, when it's real cold, you've got to make sure that these don't freeze up. So you want to keep them close to your body. It's a perfect time when you're sleeping. Put this in a plastic bag so it doesn't leak on you. Throw that in there. Good to go. I use dry bags to keep all of my important things dry. Most importantly, my sleep system clothing. So I'll put those into my little dry bag, along with my socks, my hats, my gloves. There we go. I know that I'm safe and sound. Keeping this sleep system dry is probably the single most important thing you can do. I run the C-Line waterproofing bags. I simply stuff the entire sleep system in here, push out all the air, seal it up. That's a rundown of my sleep system. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of gear, okay? But it's worth it. It's a lot of weight too. We know that the MSS sleep system's coming in around 9 pounds. You add up all this other stuff, we're probably looking at 12 pounds worth of gear. So it's a lot of weight, I know. Another thing I know for sure is that if you don't get a good night's sleep, things are gonna start going downhill real quick. I guarantee it. The Alice Pack. In my opinion, the best bag ever made for any military type operation. On the front here, we've got this lid. Pull that back and it exposes the front. Here we've got 3 pockets. Now, a word of caution on these pockets. There is an opening at the bottom of each one of these top 3. So if you put small things in here, they're going to come right out the bottom. On the front, we've got another 3 pockets. We've got a large and 2 mediums. Inside, it's a simple bucket style, which is what I love. You've just got one main compartment. On the back here, you've got a pocket I believe that was for the radio system, or maybe it's for claymores. Super simple. On top of this lid, when they originally were made, this would have been a rubber. This upper lid separates, small opening here with Velcro, and I keep my maps and lightweight things up on top. On the back of the bag, you see we've got this beautiful frame, our shoulder straps, our lumbar support, or our little, hip pad. You come here and get the right kind of straps, you're going to find that they have this quick release. And when you employ this, basically the bag falls right off your body. You simply pull these tabs here and you can adjust your shoulder straps. Now the frame is a story all to itself. What it does, it's not just a frame for the bag. It's actually built to carry ammo cans, claymores, radios. Down here in this bottom box, you would be able to stack those up. So you'd remove the physical bag and use it to carry things around. On my setup, I run 2 canteens. These are actually World War II canteen carriers here. I run one on the left, one on the right to balance out the weight. Inside, I've just got a military issue standard canteen. These are called sustainment pouches. So this gives me a lot more room to put stuff in. You'll see when I load it up how much more I can get in. On the bottom, I've added these 2 straps, and that holds my sleep system. So this is my Thermarest, this is what I run. Now all these straps can be attached. They've got sewn on little loops all across the bag. So it makes it real easy to attach things. Just like here on the sides, I'm able to weave through those and attach my canteens, my sustainment pouches and such. On the top here, I've got a paracord handle that I've created. I have a video on how to make them. It's super easy. Once you get the pattern down, you can make them. But I definitely recommend adding a handle to your Alice pack. It makes moving it around and maintaining it a lot smoother. Here you can see one of the straps I was talking about, okay? It basically is like seatbelt material. And they've got these sewn on the sides, on the bottoms, and these are the Alice clips. So you can attach older style equipment using these clips. The material is a real heavy nylon, and the story I was told is that they deployed the World War II stuff, okay, but it was all made out of cotton, basically, heavy canvas type stuff. And when it hit the Pacific Theater, World War II, the stuff started rotting out, getting waterlogged. So by the time they got to the Vietnam era, they had switched everything over to this beautiful, tough nylon. I've modified my bag. It came with its original clips. Well, what happened is those clips were worn out and they were biting into my gear, actually damaging it. So I went ahead and sewed in new buckles. I didn't want to do it, but the truth is it's made my life a lot easier. Here you can see the lumbar pad, or I call it the hip pad, and it does come with a buckle, so you could strap this around your waist. I like to have the bag off my body, right? I want to be able to get out of it as soon as possible. I don't want to be strapped in by a big giant buckle. So I hide this behind the frame on the back of the Alice pack. I think since it's such a legendary bag, that's what's led to the aftermarket parts for it. Okay, so you can get new modern straps that are much thicker, much more comfortable. You can get a new lumbar support that's a lot thicker. Again, you saw me change out the buckles. There's a lot of things you can do to make this more modern. As I said before, this is my favorite bag of all time, but it's extremely heavy. So just the bag and the frame, if you get it factory fresh, you're looking at about 9 pounds. That's a lot of weight. For me, the trade-off's worth it because of the frame. It allows you to load the bag up, and this frame and the way the bag's constructed enables the weight to be distributed extremely efficiently, making it possible to carry a lot more weight comfortably. This is a 1983 Alice pack. You can find them used. I know that a lot of companies make new versions of them. I like the vintage stuff. I picked this one up at a Goodwill for $10, so I got extremely lucky. My dream is to find somebody making the Alice pack out of Dyneema, okay, with a carbon fiber frame, so the whole thing comes in at 3 pounds. But even though it's heavy, I think the trade-off with the way it carries the weight and what you can do with it is well worth it. Food. I keep it real basic. I don't want anything that I have to add water to, that I have to cook. I want to be able to grab it, open it, and eat it. Beef jerky. This is probably my number one go-to food in the world. I love Jack Links. Any kind of beef jerky will do. Peanut butter. Mega protein, miracle food. One of my all-time favorites, Vienna sausages. Energy bars. I love the tiger's milk and the pure proteins. For my main meal, I use these pre-cooked stews. You simply open it and eat it. It's all ready to go. If I know it's getting close to chow time, I'll take this, I'll put it close to my body, use my body heat to warm it up. Can't go wrong with Doritos. Sardines in a can. When I'm jonesing for a sugar high, Pop-Tarts. Nutella with mini breadsticks. Deviled ham. Fruit cups. One of my favorites, tuna creations. One thing to consider is the scent of the food that you're eating. All this stuff gives off smells. So for example, here's tuna. Now, if I'm operating in a desert where there's no ocean, right, meaning there's no fish, and I'm eating tuna, well, to the local people, I'm gonna smell real strange. So you've gotta be real careful with your scents. Justin's Creamy Peanut Butter, individual packs. Corn. When I get these little cans, I try and make sure that they have the pop top, right, the little ring. Makes it a lot easier. Then you don't have to use your can opener to get them open. Crackers, infused with peanut butter. Now, if I'm not in training mode, meaning that I'm just camping, I bring things like Mountain House, okay? And I can use a simple isobutane stove to heat up the water and make my meal. I like these bone broths. Simply add water, heat it up, good little meal. I consider whiskey a food group, so I always keep a little bit on me. Get some vitamin C, little juice boxes. I carry a big long spoon. Makes getting down into these packages a lot easier. When I'm training for a non-permissive environment, like a war zone, okay? So I'm trying to move from danger to safety, point A to point B. And along that way, there's not much time to stop and use your precious water to light up your stove, bring it to a boil, and make yourself a mountain house. It's just not realistic. The reality is you're gonna be on the move, go, 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 right? You're trying to escape danger and get to safety. So I highly recommend that you find foods that you can simply open, eat, take that packaging, stow it away, keep on trucking. Helmet. If you're gonna be training, you should be training for real. So I highly recommend that you wear a helmet. I've injured myself many times up in the woods because I didn't have head protection. This is just a cheap bump helmet that I got on eBay for $29.99. It offers 0 ballistic coverage. Would I rather have a lightweight Kevlar helmet? Yes. But the difference is that lightweight Kevlar helmet starts at $450. So whether or not you go with a simple bump helmet or Kevlar, just make sure that you're protecting your head. For my ear protection, I run these Peltor knockoffs. Picked these up for $19.99 on eBay. Got my little push-to-talk connection here. On the side here, I have a cheap flashlight. It's real lightweight. Picked it up again on eBay. It mounts right to the connector for the Ear Pro. On the top here, I have an IR strobe. It's called the Spark by Unity Tactical. It mounts right onto the Velcro. Good for letting other people on my team know where I'm at. Bad for letting people on the other team know where I'm at. On the back here, I've got a piece of male Velcro. That enables me to keep these cables for the Ear Pro out of the way. Up front, I've got a mount for my night vision, which I currently don't have because they're way too expensive. Inside, I've attached a Team Windy suspension system. This is great for keeping the helmet on when I'm moving. For eye protection, I run simple glasses. And then I use these goggles. You can pick these up at Home Depot. They're just 3M safety goggles. This is a product that we make. It's called the KwiK-Dred. It's a nylon ripstop scrim. I then attach gauze to it, and this acts as camouflage, concealment. It simply straps on over the helmet real quick. Here I've got my military surplus gas mask, and it's just important to make sure that your gas mask fits with your helmet. Here you can see that I have gutted paracord that's woven into the helmet and attached to my flashlight. That way if I take a tumble, the flashlight breaks free, at least I've got a chance of recovering it. Your helmet carries very crucial gear. Aside from protecting your head, it's also letting you communicate, right? You've got a flashlight, you've got your Ear Pro, so you can talk to your team, you've got your night vision, so it's a lot more than just a helmet. Okay, this is like a little command center. The way your head moves when you don't have a helmet on is extremely different than the way your head moves when you do have a helmet on. So if you're going to be training for real, you should definitely have your helmet on. Load-bearing equipment. This is my LBV-88. On the front here, you can see that it's got 4 pouches. I can hold 6 magazines. On my right shoulder strap, I have my push-to-talk. On my left shoulder strap here, I have a cat tourniquet. It's attached through the clasp here with a rubber band that enables me to open it and rip it off real quick. I run a vintage World War II pistol belt. Here I have a dump pouch. It's great for extra magazines. It's really just a catch-all. Anything you find along the way, you can throw it in the dump pouch. Attached to the belt here, I have the pouch for my IFAK. In the center on the back here, I have my Baofeng. I have the cable routed up over to the push-to-talk on my shoulder strap. On the back attached to the belt, I have a military surplus butt pack. On the left and the right, I have my water. Here I have a 32-ounce Nalgene. Here I have a 32-ounce stainless steel. My water bottles are secured to the belt with a 6-foot length of gutted paracord. That way if I take a tumble and it gets loose, I've got a chance of recovering it. My radio is also attached to the belt using a small S-beaner and a 4-foot piece of gutted paracord. This is my chest rig. It's just a generic copy. I picked these up on eBay for $29.99. I'm running level 3 plates in the front and the back. On the front, we have a pouch that holds 3 magazines. Here I have a holder for my cell phone. I keep the back totally slick. That way I can easily get in and out of tight spaces. For me, the carrier totally depends on the mission. For example, if I'm going to be on a patrol for 72 hours and I'm rucking around, I'm going to have the LBV-88. If I'm training for an assault, I'm going to wear the chest rig. I love the LBV-88. It's kind of like a little survival kit. It allows me to carry all my essential gear. It distributes the weight and lets me move comfortably. I picked this one up on eBay for $49.99.
Weapon systems. Now, is there any relationship that you know of that's more personal than that of the relationship between a man and his weapon? I don't think so. Maybe a puppy. Let me introduce you to my girlfriends here. First up, we've got this girl. Her name is Breakfast. Next up, we've got my second girlfriend. Her name is Lunch. And finally, my everlasting love. This is my favorite girlfriend. Her name is Dinner. Now, because I love them all so much, it's very difficult for me to pick a favorite. I try and keep my love all spread around. But let's talk about Breakfast, okay? Breakfast is a Glock 19 Gen 4. Beautiful weapon. Got a real cheapo red dot sight on it. It works. Love this. Now, this all depends on what I'm trying to do, right? If I'm going to be in an urban environment, it's going to be hard for me to conceal, a shotgun or a rifle. So this is something I can work very covertly with. For ammo, I'd be running multiple chocolate bars, candy bars. This is my second favorite girlfriend, Lunch. It's a Remington 870 shotgun. Now, what can't you do with a shotgun, okay? If you can't hit it with a shotgun, you've got severe problems. So the shotgun is the, great equalizer. Beautiful weapon. Again, with these things, you're thinking about where you're going to be, all right? Could this work in an urban environment? Yeah, it can. It's real short, so I can hide it. Beautiful weapon. Great for breaching, getting in places when you need to, ring the doorbell. And finally, the true love of my life, Dinner, okay? Now, this is my favorite weapon. It's a rifle, we'll call it. I build these myself. Very economical. You can put these together for real cheap. Now, here's something you're gonna love. You can see my weapons light system here. This is a trick I picked up on, and basically it's just a flashlight that's been electrical tape wrapped multiple times and around the handguard, and then I just come back with some, weightlifter's tape, so it's comfortable. But you don't need anything fancy, and these things do rip off. So why spend all that money on fancy brackets and all that shit, right? Here you've just got a flashlight, El Cheapo, whatever you want. Light it up, know what you're looking at. Tape it on there, good to go. My sling is just a VTAC, real simple. You can use anything, okay? I've used paracord before. Whatever's gonna keep this weapon close to your body, whatever works. I run a vintage LB V88 split rig. In here I can carry 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 magazines, and I've got 1 in the weapon. So I've got 7 on me all day. This is my rifle cleaning kit. It's about as basic as you can get. Here I've just got a piece of an old t-shirt, 100% cotton, so I can wipe down the weapon. Got a ton of Q-tips. Can never have enough Q-tips, right? And here, the world famous boar snake. Now this is, old world, but I believe in simplicity. So I run this boar snake. Got my Leatherman rebar that you saw earlier. Tons of tools on here. So I can get things done with this. Got a couple different brushes. Got one out of a woman's makeup blush thing. Got an old little camp toothbrush. And then I've taken a metal brush and just cut it down so it's micro. Got a bottle of Hoppies, number 9, right? World famous. Good stuff. And I always keep it in its own plastic bag, okay? Because if this leaks, then you got problems all over this stuff. And then all of this just lives in a 3mm plastic bag. There's a zipper on it. That's about it. If I can't fix it with this, then probably got bigger problems than I realize. At the end of the day, you've got to make a choice. And really the choice is, what is the objective? What are you out there doing? What environment are you in? Okay? Urban environment where you need to be concealed. Are you in a permissive situation? Are you in a non-permissive war zone? What's happening? It all helps make the decision. What do you bring? The problem is you can't bring them all, okay? So I know that when I'm doing my training, I'm on the rifle. Nothing else comes with me. In my day-to-day life, I'm with the Glock, concealed carry every day. So figure out where you're going on date night, pick your favorite girl.